Hello, everyone. This is Muhammad Akif with Akif CPA. And today we'll be discussing, am I eligible to get Canadian Pension Plan, which is CPP, or Old Age Security, which is also a social program in Canada, if you are a resident of the United States. So are you eligible for those CPP and OAS? If you are a resident of the US or you're working and living and you're planning to retire in the US, are you eligible to get it? So let's get into the details. First of all, let's talk about what is CPP and what is OAS. CPP is a pension plan. So if you've worked in Canada, if you've contributed to do that CPP, just like US Social Security, if you have contributions, you can get pension from Canada. So you are eligible to get it. There is no requirement in terms of number of years you have lived there. As long as you have made contribution, you can get CPP from Canada. So CPP is technically a pension plan, versus OAS. Technically, OAS is a Old Age Security is a social program, so it's not the same as a pension program. OAS is a social program where if you have lived in Canada for about after you turn 18 for about 20 years, has no income requirement. So technically, is a requirement is based on number of years you have lived in Canada. So it's 20 years after you turn 18, you are eligible to get OAS, which is Old Age Security Pension Plan. So this is you're eligible to get it as long as you have lived for 20 years. I know there are some exceptions in terms of, okay, if you worked for a Canadian employer and then you were working outside, you may be eligible to count number of years you were outside working for a Canadian employer, but that's a may, and then has much more caveat to it. You will have to call CRA to really figure that out. But you are eligible to get OAS as long as you have lived for at least 20 years after you turn 18 in Canada. And in order to get the maximum benefits, you must have lived there for 40 years. There is a supplemental programs. They are within the OAS, which is GIC, allowance for survivors, and then some child benefits. These are all supplement programs for those for GIC survivor benefits. All the other supplement programs within the OAS, you have to be a resident of Canada to get them. So if you are living outside and you're living in the United States, you are not eligible to get GIC allowance for survivors. These are benefits you're not eligible to get, but you are eligible to get OAS overall as long as you've lived there for 20 years. And then for CPP, as long as you have made some contributions or your employer have made some contribution to CPP. So these are two benefits. These are two retirement plans. One is a CPP is a pension plan, and then OAS is a social program that you are eligible to get when you are living in the US. You are these are cut off. So are you eligible to get CPP and OAS as a US resident? Yes, you are. As long as you meet the requirements, as I've spoken before, you are eligible to get it. So the great thing about this is that you can get this benefits in the country of residence you're in. So let's say, and in the currency that you're in the country that you're living in. So if you're in the US, you can get them in USD in your US bank account. That's one of the great programs. And then you get a favorable rate too. I mean, you can go online. There's a whole list of countries the CRA sends money to, and then you are able to get that money in your local currency. For US, of course, USD in a US based account. So that's where we are in for the CPP and OAS. So let's talk about the tax and reporting when it comes to getting OAS and CPP when you are living in the US or you are a resident of the US or you're planning to retire in the US. So since we do have a US Canada tax treaty, and based on that treaty, there is no withholding requirements from your CPP or OAS. Normally, there is a 25% withholding rate that is levied upon the payments. But if you are a resident of the US and due to US Canada tax treaty, there is a zero withholding requirements. That also goes into filing. So if you are a US resident and then you're getting CPP and OS, that's the only benefit you're getting from Canada, then you are not required to file in Canada as long as the CRA knows that you are not a resident of Canada and you're living in the United States. So there is 0% withholding rate, number one. And number two, there's no filing requirement if you're getting CPP and OAS from Canada and you're a resident of the US. On the US side, of course, we will have to report the OAS and CPP on the 1040. That's something that we need to include. There is a tax treaty that we need to claim also. Great thing about the tax treaty is that in terms of inclusion of this amount, only 85% is taxable for CPP. So technically, CPP is considered the same as a U.S. Social Security. So we are only the U.S. only tax you on the 85% of the CPP that you get, and not on the 100%. Definitely. So on the US side, we will have to include this income. We will have to report this income. You still have to file a tax treaty form to claim the benefits at the same time in order to claim the inclusion too. And then the CPP inclusion rate is 85%. That's again, there's on 1040 they are reported. So both CPP and OS are reported on the 1040 with the inclusion of 85% for the CPP. And then, of course, we will have to get the 8833 reporting done as well on the 1040. So these are things. I mean, so I get a lot of questions about will I be eligible to get CPP or not, or am I eligible to get OS while I'm living in the US or I retire in the US? Definitely you can, as long as you meet the requirements, as long as you have made a contribution to your CPP. Once you are eligible to get the benefits, then there are reporting requirements on the US side. There should be zero withholding on the Canadian side. Any questions, shoot us an email, info@keepcpa.com. We'll be happy to answer. You can also comment on this video, subscribe to our channel, and then we can get your questions answered.